I'm seeing a lot about the Big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for this. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick.
Lil Meech just shook the entire hip-hop world. He's officially calling out Rick Ross, accusing him of finessing Big Meech out of a massive $120 million deal. And once that claim hit the internet, it spread fast, like wildfire.
Take a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
What started as quiet whispers online has now exploded into a full-blown showdown. BMF versus Rick Ross. No one's backing down. The streets are buzzing. Timelines are on fire. Fans are arguing non-stop. And everyone's stuck on one burning question.
Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. That would lead to February 13th, the Big Meech benefit concert. It's going to be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. Be special. Epic. Get your tickets right now. I'm back.
Did Rick Ross really play one of the most respected names in street history for clout and a bag? The tension is thick, and right now, nobody knows what's real anymore. At first, this looked like the comeback story everyone wanted. Big Meech came home last October and the culture was hyped. People truly believed the legend was about to rebuild his empire the smart way.
Ain't no armored trucks pulling up at no funeral. Simple. So you better enjoy this. A fool and his money will part. We do this.
Through films, business moves, and generational success. Then Rick Ross stepped in, flexing with big promises and even bigger numbers. He pitched a $120 million film deal, claiming he was turning Meech's life story into a Hollywood masterpiece. It sounded perfect. Movie contracts, luxury brand partnerships, and a global BMF franchise. But behind all that talk, the streets started whispering something different. Insiders say it was all smoke and mirrors. No movie, no deal, no money, just hype. According to people close to the situation, Ross talked smooth, flashing industry connections and glossy promises that never materialized. Big Meech thought it was about loyalty. Others say it looked more like straight manipulation. In the end, Ross walked away with more attention and more profit, while the BMF name was left wrapped in even more confusion. One street insider said people genuinely felt bad for Lil Meech, but blamed the OGs for not seeing it coming.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money, because it gives me anxiety, keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stock, don't keep looking at that, it'll drive you crazy.
They should have known better, the insider said. This wasn't friendship, this was business. And in business, loyalty doesn't protect you from getting finessed. Meanwhile, 50 Cent, the man who actually built the modern BMF legacy through his hit TV series, wasn't staying quiet. From day one, 50 funded the show himself, paid for Lil Meech's acting lessons, and gave him the platform that turned him from a street kid into a legit star. He treated the BMF story with respect, turning it into a cultural phenomenon fans couldn't stop watching. So when Lil Meech shocked everyone by choosing to rock with Rick Ross instead of sticking with the man who helped him rise, it lit a fire behind the scenes. What started as tension quietly turned into a silent war, one that eventually spilled out into the public eye.
Now, my shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still count paper. This ain't a pumping.
Before long, 50 Cent did what he does best, surgical trolling. He dragged Rick Ross on social media, even cracking jokes about Ross sending Wingstop wings to Big Meech's prison address. Funny on the surface, but the message underneath was dead serious. In 50's eyes, Ross wasn't building the legacy, he was feeding off it. Then things crossed into personal territory. 50 started dropping claims fans had never heard before, saying Lil Meech was showing up to set intoxicated, throwing up during training, and completely losing focus. 50 even joked about finding whippets in Meech's truck, laughing that he had to Google what they were. The jokes were wild, but the tone wasn't playful. It was shock. 50 wanted people to understand he was the only one moving like a grown man behind the scenes, while others were treating the BMF name like a costume. 50 was reminding everyone who really built the modern legacy. Meanwhile, Lil Meech kept smiling for the cameras, clubbing with Rick Ross, posing for photos, acting like everything was smooth. But the streets weren't buying it anymore. People started calling that partnership fake, saying it was driven by ego, not substance. Hype and empty promises. That's how fans started describing it. Support slowly pulled back. Even Tony Yayo spoke up, reminding everyone that 50 had been there for Lil Meech from day one. No gimmicks, no fake loyalty, just real support. But once Meech chose his side, the pressure hit hard. The money slowed, the buzz cooled off, and frustration started showing. Then Michael Rainey Jr., better known as Tariq from Power, jumped into the conversation with a viral comment that set the internet on fire. He said he didn't feel sorry for Lil Meech or Big Meech, adding the grown men should have seen this coming.
Think about it, it was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent, he owning the rights to
Those clips went viral instantly. The internet exploded. Rick Ross tried to ride it out, hyping shows and shouting tour dates like nothing was wrong. February 13th, get your tickets. Miami, Detroit, ATL. He kept pushing, acting untouched by the chaos. But once 50 Cent saw that, he snapped again, harder this time. He backed Michael Rainey Jr.'s comments, saying they proved everything: weak loyalty, bad judgment, and fake friendships. The message was loud and clear. Lil Meech had traded loyalty for clout, and Ross was once again eating off another man's name. And according to people close to Ross, this wasn't new. They claimed he had a habit of leaving people behind when situations got uncomfortable.
Ross texted you a couple weeks ago about a girl that you're not even with no.
We went Travis Scott's all.
There were even stories floating around about Ross letting members of his own crew get jumped in Canada just to test loyalty. Cold, calculated. Classic Ross, according to critics. Then, right on cue, Ross tried flipping the narrative again. Out of nowhere, he announced a big-budget BMF movie, claiming it would outdo 50's TV series. He started name-dropping directors like F. Gary Gray and even Quentin Tarantino, trying to make it sound official. But the culture wasn't buying it. People called it cap, just Ross staying loud, staying viral, and keeping the spotlight on himself. This time, though, the energy shifted fast. Hip-hop started catching on, and that's when Wack 100 stepped in, calling Rick Ross the real villain in the story. No sugarcoating. Wack said Ross was never loyal to Big Meech, just a manipulator using the BMF name to take shots at 50 Cent.
With you and Ross, it's just been going on for so long.
Nothing else works for him outside of mentioning me. When things get bad, it gets covered first. I get covered across the board. They get covered on the hip-hop blog. It is what it is. And you watch, because I have nothing else to say. You just see it happen periodically as it goes. You know? Yeah. You see that big white elephant, that property he lives at? It costs more than the nightclubs. He's in the nightclubs. What kind of rich cut his own grass? Why you out there cutting your own grass? You're trying to save money? You don't want to pay for the lawn to get cut, huh?
Ain't nothing wrong with cutting your grass.
Wack 100 made it painfully clear. If Rick Ross truly respected Big Meech, he would have handled everything quietly behind closed doors. No cameras, no flexing, no extra noise. But instead, Ross turned the whole situation into a circus. A one-man show filled with fake loyalty, loud clout chasing, and non-stop self-promotion. Every interview, every post, every so-called announcement somehow circled right back to Ross himself, not the BMF legacy. And the more he talked, the clearer it became. Ross had only one real goal.
I'm Big Meech, entrepreneur here at 5 Star Smiles to make sure that my smile is right forever. First off, image is everything to me, you know, so the first thing people notice is the smile. So knowing that I was going to be doing probably interviews and stuff like that and be in the limelight, I wanted to make sure that was the first thing I had did. And that's the thing, like a lot of people in the prison, they neglect.
Keep the spotlight on himself. He paraded Big Meech's name like a trophy, using that connection to polish his image and feed his ego. And honestly, that told the whole story. Ross wasn't moving for the culture, he was moving for attention. From day one, he played both sides, hyping Meech up with big talk about million-dollar projects and empires, while the only empire actually growing was his own brand behind the scenes. Even worse, he managed to drive a wedge between Big Meech and 50 Cent, the same man who built the entire BMF TV empire and gave the name a second life. When the dust settled, all that remained were broken promises, loud headlines, and a legacy tangled in drama that didn't benefit Meech at all. And Ross still wasn't done. He jumped online bragging about buying people's masters, even mocking 50 by name, saying I could buy his catalog anytime I want. That line set the internet on fire. Then Ross pushed it even further. He took shots at Lil Meech too, claiming that 50 Cent had to pull him out of Detroit just to teach him how to act. It was meant to embarrass both of them, but instead, it exposed Ross's obsession with always being the loudest voice in the room. And when the attention finally started fading, Ross did what critics say he always does. He ghosted, completely vanished from Meech's circle once things got uncomfortable. That's when the rumors really took off.
Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Fuqua, what's up? Tarantino, it's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
Insiders began whispering that Rick Ross was actually behind the cancellation of Lil Meech's Welcome Home benefit concert. At first, fans pointed fingers at 50 Cent, but people close to the situation said otherwise. According to them, Ross didn't want Meech regaining momentum. He wanted him sidelined, out of the spotlight, while Ross continued acting like he was carrying the BMF legacy online. To the streets, that screamed betrayal, using another man's struggle as marketing fuel. That's cold. Allegedly, Ross traded Meech's name for clicks, likes, and views, and once it stopped working, he cut ties without hesitation. Lil Meech tried to clap back online, calling 50 Cent an internet gangster, accusing him of hiding behind social media, but nobody bought it. Fans saw right through it, saying Meech was just doing damage control after the mess Ross left behind.
Take a picture with Rick Ross. You like a hoe, nigga. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
By then, the memes were everywhere. The internet was roasting the entire situation. People clowning Lil Meech, calling him a young dude who got played in his own story. Hard to watch, but it exposed a brutal truth. In this industry, when loyalty collides with money, the game flips fast. And at this point, Ross's track record made everything hard to ignore. Every time he links up with someone who already has respect in the culture, things turn messy, deals fall apart, loyalty fades, people get left behind. It's a cycle. Just look at Maybach Music Group, Meek Mill, Wale, Gunplay, all once stood proudly under Ross's banner. But behind the flashy success came missing checks, questionable paperwork, and non-stop frustration.
February 13th, the Big Meech home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. It'll be special, epic. Get your tickets right now. I'm back.
The stories just kept stacking up. Rick Ross smiling in public, playing supportive for the cameras, while behind the scenes, he was the one pulling the strings. It was always ego over teamwork, control over collaboration. And over time, that pattern became impossible to ignore. Ross knew exactly how to move the chessboard, elevating himself while others took the fallout. If he truly cared about BMF, he would have built with Big Meech quietly, with real respect, honoring the legacy without the noise. But instead, he went public on purpose, fully aware that 50 Cent would react. Because this stopped being business a long time ago. This was pride, this was power, and the difference mattered. 50 wasn't fighting for clout, he was protecting something real, a brand he built from the ground up with loyalty, sweat, and consistency. Meanwhile, Ross was poking the bear, chasing another viral moment just to stay in the spotlight.
You took a picture with Rick Ross? Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
Even Meek Mill, once seen as Ross's right-hand man, eventually distanced himself after realizing Maybach Music Group wasn't designed for everyone to win. The spotlight was only big enough for one person, Rick Ross. And now that same tired playbook was getting recycled again, this time with Big Meech and Lil Meech. That so-called $120 million empire that was supposed to change lives, it turned out to be a ghost deal. No structure, no substance, just talk. And once again, Ross walked away with exactly what he wanted: free publicity, interviews, headlines, and new followers. People connected the dots fast. Every time Ross's relevance starts cooling off, he attaches himself to someone with real credibility to keep himself trending. First Drake during the MMG era, then Meek, then Larry Hoover's name, and now Big Meech. While Ross stays busy chasing headlines, 50 Cent has been doing something completely different.
You took a picture with Rick Ross? Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
50 turned real-life stories into billion-dollar franchises. Power, Raising Canaan, BMF, all rooted straight in the culture. He flipped pain into profit, legacy into storytelling, and vision into long-term empires. That's the real difference. One man builds, the other borrows, and trust, the streets see it clearly. Fans started saying it out loud. Ross is playing checkers, 50's playing chess. One's thinking 10 moves ahead, building something that lasts decades, while the other's chasing quick viral moments for attention.
Yes, Charleston White is correct. I'm a rapper, not a dealer. He's sure to catch my new show, 50 Cent, 50 Ways to Catch It.
Behind all the noise and bragging, the truth is getting harder to hide. Every time Rick Ross steps into someone else's world, that world ends up broken, confused, and left behind, while he walks away smiling for the cameras. At this point, the pattern couldn't be clearer. Ross's playbook never changes. He builds his shine off other people's names, flipping their struggles into his own success. The real question now is how many more people will fall for it before they wake up? Because every single time someone aligns with Ross, they eventually learn the same hard lesson. Loyalty fades, clout stays. Look back at his entire career. It's the same move on repeat.
A quick Google search for you says that your net worth is $20 million.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money, because it gives me anxiety keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stock, don't keep looking at that. Gonna drop.
And when you really think about it, this didn't even start with Big Meech. It goes all the way back to the real Rick Ross, the actual former drug kingpin whose name Ross adopted while the man was locked up. That move alone said everything. From the very beginning, Ross was willing to borrow someone else's legacy to build his own spotlight. The real Rick Ross even took him to court trying to reclaim his name, but Ross didn't care. He doubled down, kept profiting off the myth, and let the brand grow bigger than the truth. He turned another man's real life into a multi-million-dollar rap persona. Then he did it again, this time with Larry Hoover, dropping his name in songs, visuals, and interviews like it was a trend, using street legends with real weight to elevate his own image. And now, we're watching the same story play out once more with Big Meech, another legacy borrowed, reshaped, and packaged to fit the Ross brand.
Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent, he owning the rights.
But here's the twist. This time, the streets are watching closer than ever. People see how Ross keeps turning real pain into content, real loyalty into headlines, and real legacies into marketing campaigns. And while Ross keeps winning the attention game, everyone tied to him seems to lose something real: respect, reputation, or peace. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's name just keeps getting stronger. While Ross plays the loud game, 50's playing the long one, stacking projects, building worlds, creating value that actually lasts. He's not chasing validation, he's building empires. And the wild part, 50 warned everyone about Ross years ago, called him a fraud long before all this unfolded. And now, everything he said is playing out in real time. The contrast couldn't be clearer. One man chases moments, the other makes history. Now the spotlight's burning hotter than ever. Rick Ross can't duck it anymore. The internet's buzzing, podcasts are breaking it down, and hip-hop blogs are calling this one the wildest feuds in years. What started as a flashy deal has turned into a full-blown legacy war, and the entire culture is watching it unfold like a movie.
Once you cut through the noise, the questions get a lot deeper. Was this just another Rick Ross marketing play, or did he really believe he could outshine the very people who laid the groundwork he's standing on? Because the more this story unfolds, the clearer it gets. Ross's empire looks like it was built on borrowed names, borrowed stories, and borrowed loyalty. And Lil Meech isn't escaping the heat either. He's caught right in the middle, trying to protect his image while the streets side-eye every move. The same fans who once rooted for him are now calling him reckless, saying he traded real mentorship for a quick moment in the spotlight. And even though he's trying to stay solid, it's obvious this situation hit his career and his reputation hard. Meanwhile, 50 Cent is moving like a chess grandmaster. While Ross stays loud online, 50 keeps stacking wins. Another hit show, another major deal, another project rooted in real history. Every Ross flex gets answered with a quiet power move that reminds everyone who actually controls the board. Now the streets are split. One side wants accountability, saying Ross owes Big Meech and the BMF legacy real respect. The other sees it as another hard lesson in hip-hop history, proof that not everyone yelling boss is really built like one. And that's where things stand. The fight over the BMF legacy is far from finished. The real question is who walks away with their name still intact when the smoke clears? The man chasing clout or the one building something that lasts? Fans aren't just talking anymore, they're pulling receipts, screenshots, old interviews, posts, all pointing to the same conclusion. Rick Ross moves for attention, not authenticity. One viral comment summed it up perfectly. Rick Ross is a fraud, period. He ruined a legacy chasing clout. That line hit hard because it rang true. When you line everything up, the pattern is impossible to miss. Ross always shines off the energy of people who already carry real credibility. He steps into their circle, makes massive promises, and when things start falling apart, he disappears. From the MMG family to his so-called street connections, the ending never changes. Even that hyped $120 million BMF movie with big Hollywood names like Quentin Tarantino and Antoine Fuqua getting tossed around turned out to be nothing but smoke and mirrors.
No movie, no script, no massive deal. Just more headlines and hype keeping Ross trending while everyone else is left cleaning up the mess. And now that Lil Meech is catching the backlash, fans are questioning everything. Was he blinded by loyalty? Did he trust the wrong person? Or was he just another piece caught in a bigger hustle he never saw coming? Either way, the lesson hit hard. In this industry, image is everything, and Ross knows exactly how to play that game. Whenever the noise dies down, he finds a new name to attach himself to, a new spark to reignite the buzz, and every single time, the same cycle repeats. Chaos follows, relationships collapse, and the only one walking away ahead is Rick Ross. Even people who were once close to him are stepping back now. Former associates talk about being left behind. Artists speak on shady contracts. Old business partners describe him as all talk, no delivery. To them, Ross's so-called empire isn't built on trust, it's built on illusion. Every move is calculated for exposure, not loyalty.
Every headline looks powerful, but most of them sit on someone else's foundation. And now the streets are asking the real question. Was Ross ever truly loyal to Big Meech, or was he just trying to become Big Meech in the eyes of the culture? When you break it down, it starts making sense. That BMF track that first launched Ross wasn't about honoring a friend, it was about stepping into the image, absorbing the identity, and soaking up the respect that came with it. That's how Ross built his entire brand, off other people's legacies, other people's stories, and other people's pain. And that's the sad part. Big Meech's name deserved better. His legacy was supposed to represent redemption and rebirth, not controversy and confusion. But once Ross entered the picture, the message got twisted. The focus shifted from rebuilding to clout chasing. Now that everything's unraveling, even the fans see how deep this goes. They're calling it exactly what it looks like: manipulation, ego, and clout addiction. So the big question remains, what's next for BMF? Can Lil Meech rebuild the trust he lost? Can Big Meech reclaim his story and reshape the legacy tied to his name? Only time will tell. But one thing is already crystal clear. 50 Cent's words are echoing louder than ever. Real ones build, fake ones borrow. And right now, the streets know exactly who's who. So what do you think? Who's really winning this war? The man building legacies or the one playing the fame game? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share if you want more deep dives exposing the real stories behind the culture, because this saga is far from over. The next chapter is about to be even louder, and you won't want to miss it.